obviously everybody else's philosophy. In the time that we have, I can barely do really service to mine because, there's so much to cover. But that's my philosophy. Other people, they want big teams, they want small deals, but volume. Good for them. We live in a certain market that I'm glad I charted my own course. And I can tell you something, by the way. When I started out in 2005, I never read a book on real estate. I didn't have a mentor. I never took a course. I didn't do fortune builders. I didn't do, Graziosi. I didn't do Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I didn't do any of those things. And I'm glad I did not. Why am I glad I did not? Not because those things don't have value, because every single one of the things that I just named has value, but because it let me create a system that worked for me. And by the end of this Zoom call tonight, you are going to know a lot more than I did in 2005. If I had a time machine, I would send this back then. I could watch it because I would know so much, and you're going to know a lot more. Let me first give you a couple very basic things. Appraisals are garbage, okay? Appraisals are garbage. I'm going to repeat that. Why is that so important? What I'm telling you now. I have a friend, very good friends of mine, that you know as well, Raul, that they have a property they've been trying to sell. They have one appraisal that's $3 million, and the other appraisal is a tiny bit more. It's $3,056,000. So basically, they have two appraisals for $3 million, okay? They cannot even get rid of this property for $2.2 million, which is what they need to break even. But the appraisal says it's worth $3 million. Nobody cares. They cannot even sell it for $2.2 million. They've had it on the MLS for months. They've tried everything. They've owned this property now for 2 years. The bills keep accumulating. The loans keep accruing. The expenses keep accruing. The costs, their break-even number keeps getting higher and higher. And now it's about $2.2 million just to break even. And they have two appraisals for $3 million. One's for $3 million exactly. The other one is a tiny bit above $3 million. They cannot even sell it for 2.2. Now remember that number, 2.2. I have a property that I bought in March for 2.25. I got it appraised for 2.2. Somebody would say, what are you doing? You're an investor and you bought a property for more than it appraised for? The next day I sold it for 2.7. The next day I made $450,000 on it. $450,000. Again, I will repeat the numbers. It appraised for 2.2. I bought it for 2.25, $2,250,000. I sold it for $2,700,000. I made $450,000, and that's almost net because other than the closing costs, I didn't pay any commission. I didn't list it. I sold it to somebody that I know, an investor, and I didn't have to pay any commission or anything, just a little bit of the closing cost. So my net profit was like $430,000 on this property. It appraised for $50,000 less than I bought it for. I was actually going to go back to the seller and renegotiate, but I decided not to. I'll let it go because I knew that I'm selling it for 2.7. The appraisers, they're idiots, a lot of them. I don't want to say all of them. Maybe there's appraisers watching this. I won't say all of them. The ones that are watching are not idiots. Every other one is an idiot. The other one that my friend got appraised for $3 million, he can't even sell for $800,000 less. I had a piece of land once I bought for $3,000. An appraiser appraised it for $35,000. I ended up selling for $2,500. Appraisals don't mean shit. They don't mean shit. So what? How do you know if you're getting a good deal or not? And of course, we all know Zillow is very often wrong. You have to learn the market. I knew that that property is worth. I was okay paying $50,000 more than the appraisal price because I already had buyers lined up because I knew that market. You have to learn the market. And if you don't know the market, learn it. And you know what? Some of these deals, if you're not sure, before you even close, you can have a buyer lined up. I basically did what's called a double closing. I did not wholesale it. I closed and then I sold it again. And this was in March when the whole pandemic was happening, when the world was falling apart. All that crazy stuff. We went from being things are normal to we're locking down. First they closed the schools, remember? And then we're locking down the state, and then we're locking down the whole country. And then the stock market crashes like 20%, and then the World Health Organization says it's a global pandemic, and then people are starting to die, and people are starting to panic, and lenders are saying we can't lend anymore, or we're tightening our guidelines. All of this was happening. I was having the best month of my life, not mentally, but financially. I was having a wonderful month. I was selling and I was making more than $500,000. I was having not the best month, one of the best months they had, So again, I'm telling you, it's not about what's happening around you, it's what's happening inside you. That's what it's going to be about. But appraisals are garbage. Remember that. So, there's things that you're going to have to deal with. And you just have to know that those are the costs of doing business. For example, right now, I don't know anybody that's getting like a 3, 4, 5% response rate. People are complaining. They're sending out postcards. They're sending out letters. Nobody's calling. Yeah, it's very competitive. It's very tough. Sellers are not motivated. They don't want to sell. They don't want to call you. They'll maybe sell through an agent. They'll maybe wait. Nobody wants to sell them. But you know what? You can still make crazy deals. I'm telling you, I have a contract. Literally, it's here. I have a contract right here in this envelope. $700,000 spread. Probably will be about, I don't want to count the money, but it should be like between $400,000 and $500,000 net profit with a quick remodel. People are selling, but you know what? In 2011, I met an investor. So I wholesale the property to them, and she says, "How do you get deals, Jason?" And I said, different things, and I do direct mail. And she says, "Really? That works for you?" I said, "Yeah, it works." She said, "That's weird because I sent 50 letters last month and I got nothing. 50 letters last month and I got nothing." And I was like, what is wrong with this person? I send thousands every month and sometimes I get nothing. She's expecting to get a deal from 50 letters. That's why one of my principles, you remember, Raul, it's massive and consistent action. What's the difference between massive and consistent? And why do we need both? Massive action is, you know what? I'm out of shape. I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to spend 4 hours lifting weights and working out and doing push-ups and doing pull-ups